Hey, Yvonne.
Hey, Remy.
How are you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good. You'll appreciate this. We're home from school today because it's a thing and Virginia's
Yeah.
stupid. I'm sitting here with my door closed in my office, but Ella is out there watching Hamilton. So that's all I hear in the background. Um, awesome. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Hey, I had a quick question for you.
Of course.
Did your girls resubmit their solar for like some feedback under the new rules?
We did not. Do we need
Okay.
to do that?
Only if you want feedback. I was just asking because I didn't have any new submissions this round, so I'm just trying to use like the old to like make sure I have the rubrics set up correctly on my end.
Yeah, we're planning to go to
No.
states in Virginia so that they can test out all of their stuff before they get to Worlds and actually
Cool.
talk to judges and things like that. But yeah, and actually today we're having our solar team meeting here in an hour after this call because there's no school, right? So, but
Right.
our focus today is how to raise $8,000 to get to Worlds. Anyway, there's a market this weekend in town. It's like in the fire
Oh,
department
cool.
and it's so they're setting up a table and they're gonna sell whatever things they come up with. Ella does the dog treat thing. But
Right.
her friends
Which
are like
reminded me.
bracelets
I,
or things like that.
I came across a dog treat recipe and I need to share it with you because I just thought it was too funny.
Oh
Um,
goodness.
it's blueberry and carrot twists for dogs. And I was
Oh,
looking at this and I sent it to my sister-in-law. I was like, this actually sounds pretty good. So
blueberry and carrot.
yeah,
That is interesting. Is it strange that there's nobody here? Like we're on the right number, right?
we're on the right number. But I've noticed they've been coming in like 5 minutes late
That's
the
fine. I just,
last the
when I
last two
ask
weeks.
somebody to
Everybody
come
seems
and
to be on
present,
that schedule.
when I ask somebody to come and present, I always get like really nervous that like nobody's going to show up and it's going to be really embarrassing to be like, I'm so sorry, nobody came to hear you. But no, it'll be what it is. So, do you guys
Sure. I thought I
have
had
a
your phone
solar
number.
rubric that is working out for you?
So the online is set up a little bit differently.
Hmm.
So like I try to like set the rubric so that when I'm going through and like giving my opinions on things, I can do it as completely unbiased as possible. Sorry, there's parental yelling downstairs. Um, but I know Megan was trying to come up with some like guidelines on like the judging form to help like the organizers so that they had something to start with that she's still working on.
Okay. Yeah, because we have an event coming up in a couple weeks, and I know Anna's getting like, well, should we just use like the rubric from last year? Because
I mean, I
really
think
haven't.
last year's rubric is still kind of it hits like the main points still.
Did we bring
Um,
art into it though? I thought there were like art standards this year that they were pulling in. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for being here. We're just waiting for some more folks to show up on the call.
Sounds good. Hi, everyone.
yeah, I think the art side to me, if you didn't have like standards to pull from, just more like when we look at the creativity on the win side of things,
Okay.
it's just kind of
I basically gave Anna the rubric from Worlds, and was like, this is probably the best thing to use if we don't get a new one. So it'll be what it is. Anyway, it's nice to see everybody. How you doing, Amber?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. Hi, Josh. It's nice to meet you. I just emailed you about your check. I hope you get it. You should get it soon, but
I
I
saw that.
can.
Thanks for the update.
Yeah. It went to the address you gave me, so if you need me to remind you
That's
what
right.
that address was, I can do that. Just
That's right. Thanks.
We're excited to have you here. Josh, I don't know if you know, and I'm gonna be talking about this when give my updates, is that we are gonna be having our very first solar student symposium, thanks to all these great solar seed grants we were able to give out in the last round. And it's gonna be in Boulder. So we definitely expect you to be there because it's gonna be at CU. So
This is
mark your calendar.
part of the conference in May. Is that what it
August.
is? The Is it August? Is it the Solar Energy Society? What is it? I'm forgetting which
ACES.
conference it is.
Yeah.
ACES, yeah. Thanks. That's it.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
August 4th through the 6th. And anyway,
great.
it's going to be perfect for you guys because they have a solar village. It's like an outreach village that they're doing on the
Oh,
last
awesome.
day. So your students will have an opportunity to set up their project and actually show it off physically. So that'll be pretty cool
Cool.
if
That's
they're
great.
around or if you want to. Anyway, so I'll be talking more about that, but it's exciting
Great.
to have you as part of the team. So Haas, good to see you too. And Tyler, good to see you.
Good to see everybody. Looking
Hello.
forward to May.
Yeah, May will be it'll be something. Hopefully we get to have it in Phoenix. I'm like worried to book my travel right now. So we'll see how that goes. We'll give it a couple more minutes. I don't want to hold up Sarah because Sarah from Pattern is with us today, and she's going to talk with us at the beginning of our time together. But we will have time at the end to do our normal kind of around the rooms and everything. But hoping that this year we can use this time to learn together. So if you guys, have feedback after this call and thoughts on other types of presentations that you might like to see, topics that you would like covered, I'm happy to keep scheduling these. Just like I said, want to make sure that this isn't a waste of your time to show up on these calls. I know it's always just good to chit chat, but if we can add some more meaningful conversation in, I will be happy to do that. I'm kind of hoping someone from NREL shows up, but that might be a wash. I'm not sure if they're like allowed to show up to stuff right now. Like, I'm not sure. So we'll give it one more minute and we'll start at 5 past and see what happens. I don't know who CJK is. Anybody? Whoever you are, welcome.
That's the AI assistant, I think, taking notes. I believe someone may have switched it on, or it's on by default, perhaps.
Yeah, I just was wondering who it belonged to, but that's okay.
Oh,
It
I see.
doesn't really matter.
The only CJ I know is with Kidwind. So is it possible to send your AI note taker without you being there?
It is. We tried to have
Oh, okay.
office hours last year for the coaches, and they would just send their AI bots, and you're like, it doesn't really work like that because you can't ask questions with the robot. So we've got nothing to talk about.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
well,
once
why don't
you sign
we?
up for one, you have to like deconnect it from your own like account. Otherwise, it automatically joins anything that you have on your calendar.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's
So you're
great.
just making it sentient, right?
Oh my goodness. The rise of the robot. It's among us. Awesome. Well, it's good to see you all. Thank you for being here. Like I said, I'm hoping to utilize these calls differently this year. And so if you have thoughts and feedback on the best way to spend our time together once a month, I'd be happy for your feedback. We have Sarah McCall with us today, and Sarah is with Pattern Energy. And through a project that we were doing with NREL, I connected with Sarah again after connecting on other things before. But she was telling me about some of the amazing stuff that they're doing in New Mexico to grow the wind workforce to meet their demand. So I thought it could be really interesting to hear from her, and maybe this could be a model for other states as they're trying to meet their wind workforce demands. But before we get started, I just wanted to give a couple of updates from our side here at REpowering Schools. So as we all know, the federal funding freeze is still a thing, though it may have end in sight. But as of right now, we have no funding for new seed funding programs or seed funding grants. So as of right now, we don't have anything available. But please stay tuned because as soon as the faucet comes back on, we are hoping to get another round of seed funding from NREL. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that, so you didn't hear me say that. But we're also continuing to work to grow our industry sponsorships And that was the way that we were able to offer solar seed funding in the last round, because we had industry who liked what we were doing on the wind side, and we didn't have comparable funding, so they were able to support some seed grants so that we could demonstrate the need. Josh is one of our seed funding recipients from CU Boulder on the solar side, so hopefully he'll be a great example to push other industry folks to support this seed funding program. So that's kind of the status of our seed funding. Like I said, I will keep you posted, and you'll see emails come out if and when that opens back up again. We also do still have some upcoming conference experiences and student symposia that we're planning. So every year we're at the Distributed Wind Energy Association conference, and we host a small student symposium there. The applications are closed because it's at the end of the month, but we're excited to be going to the DWIA conference. We have 6 students coming, all from New York, actually, and they're coming down and presenting their work in a poster session. They have an oral speaking opportunity during the conference, which is like brand new and super exciting for them. And we're doing some industry meet and greets with various folks in the DC area, like some of our partners like at Google and AES that have like headquarters in the area. And then on the last day, we take a field trip and we're visiting Soul Systems, and then the students get to participate in the lobbying activities with DWIA. So they're going to get some civic engagement experience, and it's going to be fabulous. And then Clean Power and REpS are always on our schedule, but it really is funding dependent if we can host a bunch of people there. We are planning to do that, but we won't have any like applications for them to apply until we know that we're going to have funding. So keep an eye out on that. But what we do know is that we will be at ACES, which is the Solar Energy Society. They have their Solar 2025 conference in Boulder, Colorado in August. And we will host our very first solar student symposium because we have these great seed funding projects that we're funding in this semester. So we're working very closely with ACES to provide hotels and conference passes. They're going to have a career fair. And as I was just telling Joshua, they're going to have something called the Solar Village, which is like an outreach day. And we'll be visiting Jack's Solar Garden. So it's going to be pretty awesome. And that'll be open for, we're hoping 20 students, but right now we have about 10 students funded, and we're hoping to raise some more funds to get another 10 students there. And then lastly, we are continuing our student network webinars. So just like we get together here as faculty and college staff, we also have a network of college students, and they get to hear from various industry folks and learn about career stuff. And that does happen monthly, and that happens next week. And if you want, I can put the link into the chat again if you have any students you think that might want to join us. We're hearing from Noelle Page next week with Aspen Energy, and she's got a really very unique career journey and does some really interesting work. So I think it could be a really cool call for your students to join. So anyway, that was a lot for me. I apologize. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to take over, and we can keep it super casual. Sarah, whatever you would like to do, I will enable the sharing so that you can share your screen if you have a couple slides. But you know, we're all friends here, so feel free to keep it a discussion if you like. And thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good. Hey, everyone. I'm Sarah McCall. I'm with Pattern Energy. I've been with Pattern now about 3 years, and I am Pattern's public engagement manager, mostly for the West. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So I do our public engagement for all of New Mexico and Arizona, a number of different projects. I also provide public engagement support to all of our operating facilities in North America. So I'm on the road quite a bit. But Remy asked me to join y'all to talk a little bit about Pattern efforts in New Mexico to grow the wind workforce, and also sort of the work that we're doing with our turbine manufacturers, GE and Vestas, and then also the industry collaboration work we're doing with American Clean Power's new sort of advocacy nonprofit called Clean Power Institute. So I actually did put together a few slides just because I think the visuals are helpful. But please, I'd love for this to be a conversation. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to jump in. But let me try to share my screen because I just think the visuals can be helpful in this conversation. So let's see. Cool. Are people seeing that? Yep. Okay. So, let's see. Is it? Oh, okay. Great. And did the slide switch there? Yeah. Okay. So for folks that aren't familiar with Pattern Energy, we are a leading developer and operator and owner of renewable energy infrastructure projects across North America. Our headquarters is in San Francisco, and we operate about 6,000 megawatts of power across North America. We've got our power operations headquarters in Houston, Texas, and then a number of different satellite offices in San Diego, Toronto, in Santa Fe. So we are a large company with a huge pipeline and really exciting projects that we're working on. In New Mexico, we have a really over 1,600 megawatts of wind and transmission projects in New Mexico. So this is, a large portion of our assets are here in the state. New Mexico is a really important state to Pattern Energy. You'll see here, these are some of the projects that we are either operating or in construction with. So Broadview and Grady Wind came online back in 2017 and 2019, and they're on the eastern side of the state there. Western Spirit Wind and Western Spirit Transmission. When we brought Western Spirit online in 2021, that was the largest single phase build of a renewable energy infrastructure project in the Western Hemisphere at 1,050 megawatts. So Western Spirit was a massive, massive project and really set the foundation for Pattern to be able to take on the next project, which hopefully you're familiar with or have heard a little bit about, which is SunZia Wind and Transmission, which is currently in construction and the largest renewable energy infrastructure project in U.S. history, and 3 times the size of Western Spirit. The wind project is at over 3,500 megawatts. So as you can see from all of our assets here in the state, we produce more power than the 3 utilities combined in the state, which means that we need a robust workforce to help us operate all of these projects. So, and I will say Pattern's not done yet. So we're building SunZia Wind and Transmission. We're in construction. The plan is to have that fully online in 2026. And then there's projects that we've got coming behind SunZia. So building out a renewable energy infrastructure or renewable energy workforce in the state is critical, and I'll talk about that more. I did just want to again highlight SunZia Wind and Transmission. This is a really groundbreaking project. We're in full construction right now with over 2,500 workers in Arizona and New Mexico building the transmission line and the wind farm. You'll see it was an $11 billion financing to get this project built, and that was the largest amount of financing ever put together for a renewable energy infrastructure project. So this project in so many ways is making history. The other thing I just wanted to show, this map is just really helpful in terms of thinking about the workforce in New Mexico. So you'll see off to the right there in the magenta or the pink rather, the dark pink is Western Spirit Wind. And so that's the 1,050 megawatts. That was the largest, wind farm built in a single build in North America. And we decided to come back with SunZia and triple the size of it. You'll see that what's unique about SunZia is we've got the North Complex, and we've got it divided into 3 zones, and then we've got the South Complex divided into 7 zones. So if you take a look at the North Complex and you see Zone 2 at the top there in San Miguel County, all the way down to Zone 7 in the south, that's 90 miles, and it's over 550,000 acres. You'll see in the middle there's a little bit, there's a an empty space. That's actually a Department of Defense polygon where we're not able to build. But the reason that I show this map is to show the sheer scale of how big this project is. The other thing that's interesting to note about San Miguel, Torrance, and Lincoln counties in New Mexico is that these are incredibly rural counties with very, very tiny, small towns. For example, the sort of main little town where we are building a large portion of the wind farm in the southern complex is called Corona, New Mexico. For context, last year they graduated 6 kids from their high school. That being said, with our workers coming in who are constructing the project, they've actually had like 12 kindergarteners start, which is a huge strain of resources on that public school to have that many new kids come in at once. But I just wanted to show this map because it really kind of shows the scale of what we're doing, and it sets the foundation for some of the challenges I'm going to talk about in terms of the workforce and hiring the folks that are going to operate it. Kind of flipping back here, you'll see we don't have it on this slide. At peak, we're going to be about 26 or 2,700 construction jobs. Long term, to operate SunZia Wind, we're bringing 100 full-time jobs into the state, and those are mostly the operators of the wind farm. The 500-mile transmission line, we'll have a few people kind of operating it, but certainly not as many. But on the wind side, it'll be it'll be 100 full-time operations jobs that we're bringing to the state. Western Spirit, which again is the one on the left, or the right rather, that 1,050 megawatts. We anticipated at peak having 35 full-time operations jobs, and we've never been over 27. And that's because there are numerous challenges with retaining and hiring a workforce here in New Mexico, which I'm going to talk about. So, that's something that we are actively preparing and working on. The fact that GE, which is the turbine manufacturer of Western Spirit, has never been able to fully staff Western Spirit. And now we're bringing on SunZia, which is 100 full-time jobs. The other thing I'll just say about SunZia is the North Complex are Vestas turbines, 4.5 machines, and the South Complex are GE turbines. So the project is 920 turbines altogether. And for a couple different reasons, we didn't want to go with the same turbine manufacturer. One is that the turbine manufacturers just couldn't supply the 920 turbines. Also, it just made sense based on the wind profiles to have the different machines. But what's unique is that we're actually working with GE and Vestas together very collaboratively in terms of building out this workforce, these 100 jobs. There was a fear that the two of them would be competing against each other to hire wind techs, to hire facility managers and operators. So really, we brought everybody to the table to work on this together and solve this problem together to make sure that we can staff this project. I'll pause there and see if there's any questions about SunZia Wind and Transmission or the other projects that we have operating in the state.
I don't have any questions, Sarah, but just like kudos, like this is so impressive and huge. Like I can't even imagine the scale of this project. Like I think it would be amazing to get people out there and show them this amazing project when it's all done anyway. But no, I don't have any questions. Anybody else?
Yeah. The sheer scale of it is just just the idea that we're building 920 wind turbines and coordinating all the deliveries. Yeah, it absolutely is. We do numerous site tours. We get folks out there. We bring different groups out there. I can share a link in the chat later. We do have a robust YouTube channel where we're producing a ton of videos. So if you are interested in the project and really wanting to see it up close, we've got numerous videos that really highlight this project that are really remarkable. I will say, for this conversation, I'm more focused on the wind side of things. But on the transmission side, you'll see that the transmission project here goes into Arizona. And when it crosses into Arizona, we're going through some of the most rural, remote places in Arizona. And one of the cool things about SunZia Transmission is there's an 8-mile stretch where we're building the transmission line through the San Pedro Canyon, which is basically untouched land. And we are one of the mitigation agreements with the tribes was that, we would do everything we could to minimize the impacts to the natural environment. So there's an 8-mile stretch of transmission line in San Pedro Canyon, Arizona, which we're solely constructing by helicopter. And there's a video on our YouTube page that highlights this. But there's only 2 pilots in the United States that can pilot this helicopter and do this kind of work. And one of them is on SunZia. And the video is breathtaking watching them. So we didn't have to cut any roads. We didn't have to do any sort of civil work because we're constructing the entire 8 miles of that transmission line by helicopter, and they're stacking it with helicopter and people hanging out of the helicopters. And it's really, really remarkable. So anyways, yes, it's a incredible project. I feel very lucky to be a part of it. And so I'll drop the link so you guys can check out some of the videos. They're really cool. But with that said, we are keenly aware of it's only so good to build the biggest project if you can't operate it. And so making sure that we have a workforce in New Mexico to operate this project is critical. So there are a couple different things that I've been working on with both my colleagues here at Pattern, also with GE and Vestas, and then also with American Clean Power and the Clean Power Institute. This has really all come together at the perfect time to be working on this coordinated industry approach and then having multiple partners. So I want to talk a little bit about that industry approach. I wanted to talk about the work that we're doing with the educational institutions here in New Mexico, and then kind of the public engagement piece that I lead. So what was really neat is American Clean Power came to us last year, and basically they formed Clean Power Institute, CPI, and the goal was for that to be more of the advocacy, educational, nonprofit side of things. And they went to a number of the different renewable energy companies and turbine manufacturers and raised money to take a look at the wind workforce in the United States. And, obviously that's a growing need. And is the industry meeting with the future demand that we'll need to operate all the different wind farms that we're building? So they put together this, like I said, raise money from all of the different companies and put together a campaign to help kind of strategically target some particular states in the United States that have a number of different wind farms coming online, and then working with us on a wind tech recruitment campaign, which has been really cool. So obviously New Mexico was one of their priority states. Texas was one of their priority states, and I believe Oklahoma or the Midwest might have been the other ones. But obviously with SunZia coming online and bringing those 100 full-time jobs, and then like I said, we've got even more in our pipeline behind it. New Mexico was a really critical focus, as was Texas. So we developed collaboratively with CPI, a really neat wind workforce recruitment program. Consists of a website, which you'll see here is the landing page, and there's a little, and you can kind of put that that URL into your browser and check it out. But there's a career quiz where people can kind of jump on and take the career quiz and see if being a wind tech is the career path for them. There's all kinds of information, and what was so cool is that developed this web page, and then these different it was a digital ad campaign, and so targeting these ads to different communities and groups, and basically recruiting people who are interested in becoming a wind tech, and then actually just turning that information directly over to the renewable energy companies and the OEMs so that we could go reach out to those folks and get them information, see where they are on their career path. If they're just getting ready to graduate high school or something like that, helping them, get to the right community college or university or technical program, or if they're already in college, can they add on different, can they add on a renewable energy aspect? So you'll see here, these are some of the ads that we ended up developing, and messages and running this digital ad campaign. So that was really neat. The other thing I'll say about Clean Power Institute, which is really cool, and like I said, I've done a lot of work over the last 2 or 3 years connecting with community college presidents, educators, the folks that lead our renewable energy programs here in New Mexico, and what we have found is that, historically, a wind tech program might take 2 years. And the curriculum was really not standardized. So what you learned at Mesa Lands Community College in Tucumcari, New Mexico was very different than what you would learn at Clovis Community College in Eastern New Mexico. And what was ended up happening is you'd get these kids going to different renewable energy programs or wind tech certification programs, and then they get hired by the OEMs. And the OEMs were often having to kind of do a lot of retraining or training them specifically on their machines. And so that was one aspect. The other aspect is sometimes wind techs were in such demand that the kids would like not even get through the 2 years because they were getting pulled out of these programs early because there was such demand. So CPI has been having conversations, like I said, in New Mexico and Texas, these other places, with the presidents of and renewable energy leaders at these educational institutions, and then also with the OEMs about, is this wind tech training model the right model? And essentially what we're starting to see, and with the conversation where it's going, is that we're actually looking to scale back the timeline in terms of how long it takes to get through these wind tech programs and make it more standardized. So what a student is learning in New Mexico would be the same as what they're learning in Texas, and make these sort of certifications like stacking credits. So essentially shortening the length of time that students are in a classroom studying, and then having these standardized stacking credits so that when they go to get a job at one of the turbine manufacturers or somewhere or another company, that the companies will know exactly kind of what the certifications are and then get them into their own training program. And I think that that's sort of the direction that we're seeing the industry go and what we've heard. I think that's better for the turbine manufacturers because essentially they want to get those kids into their apprenticeship program or their training program and train them on their machines. And so this program has been piloted in Texas, getting kids into a 6-week training program and then getting them directly hired by the OEMs or other companies and letting them kind of finish out their training. So we're still kind of in the early stages of that, but that 6-week training program is taking place in Texas, and I imagine we'll move that to New Mexico. So I'll pause there and see if there's any questions about sort of this really cool industry approach and the change that we're seeing to the programs.
I think the work that you guys are doing is really interesting, and I guess I'm curious as to shortening from a 2-week training program to 6 weeks. Like what gets thrown out, and is it because the manufacturers are picking up the slack? Is that kind of the idea? Like they're just really honing in on the very specific things, and then the industry specific things they pick up?
Yeah, exactly. I think the feedback we were getting from the OEMs is that they were having to do a lot of retraining. So you had a kid in a 2-year program, and then they would get hired, and they just, each of these companies, their machines are so specific, and so I think they were doing a lot of retraining. So, right, this 6-week we can just get the basics, and then get them into have more of the training take place with the OEMs or other companies. But it's an ongoing conversation about whether that's the right model. Like I said, they're doing a pilot program there in Texas. So
Awesome. Thank you.
yeah. So the other piece of this that Pattern is really, we are, and SunZia specifically, what's unique, like I said, is Pattern is really working very closely with GE and Vestas, in a collaborative partnership. So they're not kind of cannibalizing each other's efforts. But that's been really neat. And we've been executing a sort of public engagement campaign in New Mexico around SunZia, around the jobs that are coming. One of the things that we've seen, one of the challenges that we've seen with the educational institutions, like I said, I've met with so many different community colleges and the universities, is they've got great programs, they've got great technology at their universities, but they also struggle to recruit. Part of it's like a lack of awareness. So there's just a lot of like connecting the dots, like helping the community colleges or technical programs get information out about their programs. Their budgets are strained. They don't have the staff or the capacity to run like, public engagement campaigns around this. So really, and then also educating our both our public schools, so middle school, high school, and then the community colleges around the jobs that are coming, so that they can encourage students to take a look at the renewable energy industry. We don't talk about just wind techs. We actually talk about the industry as a whole, and that, like, for the work that we're doing with public schools and the community colleges here, we have a large focus on wind techs because we certainly need a lot of those folks. But in addition, we talk about with these kids that, anything that you're interested in, you can apply that to the renewable energy industry. But really what we're trying to do is help these parents, counselors at schools, and the students really understand that not only are these jobs coming immediately that we're hiring right now, but they're going to be here for the foreseeable future, but also that they're really good paying jobs. So the median household income for a family of four in a lot of these rural communities where we're constructing SunZia is $38,000, and we can get these kids into a 6-week program and get them hired by GE, and their level 1 wind tech job coming out of that program or coming online is $60,000. So these are like very good paying jobs in New Mexico. And so we've been working a lot with the public schools, the superintendents, the principals in the project footprint, and even outside the project footprint, to make sure that they know that these jobs are here and they're going to be here. We're in classrooms kind of talking about renewable energy and trying to inspire that excitement around this industry. And so been doing a lot of public engagement around that. We do that a lot through like career fairs. A lot of the schools here will do career fairs. Here's just a few photos of a really big career fair that New Mexico State University held for that county, for all of the students in that county. We had about 1,000 kids come through here, but you'll see that Vestas, GE, and SunZia are kind of, coordinated here. And really trying to just make it fun. So we had a little photo backdrop where kids are like putting on the climbing gear and getting to feel how heavy that is and play around with it. Vestas had a really cool virtual reality set, and so the kids were climbing the virtual reality turbines. But yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of this kind of work of really just trying to connect with students one-on-one and get them inspired and excited about this industry, so that it's something that they're take a look at when they're looking at their future educational plans. But yeah, and like I said, the other thing is that Pattern spends a lot of time, we are also trying to tap into diverse networks. So we look at a lot of programs in the state that are targeting, STEM programs that also have a diverse focus. So the American Association of University Women here in New Mexico does a STEM camp for like 7th grade girls. So we're really actively involved in that, making sure that we're not just, we're talking to diverse groups. There's also the Native and Indigenous component. A number of the different tribal nations here also have wind tech programs that we try to connect with, and making sure that we're connecting with those folks as well. The Navajo Nation has a wind tech program that we're trying to get hooked into. So yeah, really kind of keeping that focus on diversity in our STEAM careers. But yeah, there's a couple statewide educational organizations that we also partner with to make sure that we're getting information about our company, about the renewable energy industry, into like educational networks that already exist in the state, so that we're not having to recreate the wheel, or myself and my colleagues are only 1 or 2 people, and it's really hard for us to be everywhere. But tapping into the educational networks that already exist, and really kind of providing information so that they can incorporate that into their curriculums.
That's very
But yeah, I think those
comprehensive,
were the main things I wanted to chat about. But if there are questions or other things, I can address that.
Thank
Hi, Sarah.
you. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Sarah. This is Suhas. I'm the director of the Renewable Energy Program at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
We are like a 6-hour drive from Santa Fe, if you don't know where Lubbock, Texas is.
I do know where Lubbock is.
I did not know. I graduated as a postdoc from Los Alamos, and I did not know where Lubbock was. Anyway, so I think I would like to have a follow-up conversation with you, and I would like to explore possibilities of us collaborating. on this project. I especially see how we can be a partner in workforce development for this particular project. So our program that we have here is a Bachelor's of Science in Renewable Energy. It is completely online. And we do have Pattern Group come and recruit some of our students on and off, but I'm not certain if folks from Sanzia have come here yet. That said, we have an online program, which is something that we can discuss about. And we also have a BAS program where we collaborate a lot with community colleges and folks who are already working on the field. They get an opportunity to get a bachelor's level credential. So I don't see myself as a solution within the 6-week program that you mentioned here.
Right.
However, there might be other things where we can touch base on, and I would like to have a follow-up conversation with you. I don't want to take the group's time for that discussion. But anyway, a very interesting presentation, and nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah, and would be happy to. And happy to also connect you to the folks at CPI who would have more information about that just pilot program in Texas and kind of looping you into that conversation. Yeah, I've spent a little bit of time in Lubbock because we've got an operating wind farm in the Panhandle of Texas. So I'm in between Panhandle and our Eastern New Mexico operating sites. Yeah, definitely drive through Lubbock quite a bit. But yeah, and you know, even with Broadview and Grady when on the eastern side of New Mexico, you know, they would certainly be recruiting techs probably from Texas. And in fact, part of Broadview has a couple turbines in Texas as well. So yeah, would be happy to chat about that.
And there could be multiple points on which we can connect our students. We have an internship requirement. However, when they graduate, they do work for early stage development quite a lot, and some of them go and work as field engineers. So there are multiple points where we could potentially connect.
Sounds good.
Yay, connections. I love it. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. Does anybody else have any other questions for Sarah before we go around the room and hear what you all have been up to?
Yeah, Sarah, I'm really stoked to hear about all the education outreach you've done, K-12 spaces, and I think the VR stuff is really cool because, you know, if you can kind of see it, you can be it. You know, it's hard to imagine being on top of a wind turbine or inside a turbine for students. And I'm wondering if kind of the VR things that y'all have developed are an in-house resource, or is that something that you can share amongst other educational institutions who have the technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. That was Vestis's set. So Tyler, I'd be happy to connect you with Vestis. Pattern does not have a virtual reality set at the moment, but we would like to get one because exactly what you said. The kids love it, and it is so cool for them to be able to climb the tower and stand at the top of it. I know when I was at Kidwin Nationals a couple years ago, there was also a group there that had a virtual reality set, and I was able to play with it as well. And it is just so cool. And you know, like right for the wind techs, that's like the big thing too. You know, the first thing that you do when you get a kid into a program is have them climb the tower, because if they don't want to be up there, then it's not the right fit for them. So, but yeah, it's just we found that virtual reality set was really great. So yeah, I'd be happy to connect you with my person at Vestis who can just get information about like kind of how they built that out or what the technology is. But yeah, Pattern doesn't have one yet, but I would like us to get one because it's great.
Yes, sir. If you wouldn't mind sharing that.
Yeah, awesome.
With me, I'd be happy to share it with the group
Sure.
because we have a lot of folks like Tyler on here that might also benefit from that if it was shareable.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know Mike from Kidwind has been on that, you know, trying to develop something out, and he actually gave us a VR headset. He's like, I will have the tutorials soon. And then,
Oh, cool.
you know, Mike just gets busy. So didn't know if you had the inside line.
No, I don't, but yeah. And yeah, that's the other thing too, in terms of working with G Investis. You know, we one of the things that we've also been working with the community colleges is making sure that they're the technology and the tools that they have. So for example, at Clovis Community Colleges, which is in the eastern part of the state near our Broadview and Grady Wind Farms, we've actually worked with Vestis to coordinate the donation of a retired nacelle. And then we'll be looking, once we get that nacelle over to Clovis Community College so the kids can train on it, looking to help them kind of build out, again, like a public engagement campaign to say, hey, you know, this is like the only program in the state where they've got a retired nacelle, and kind of use that as a draw to recruit kids into the program. In New Mexico, the only educational institution that has an operating full-scale wind turbine in their backyard has been Mesa Lands Community College. And for many years, that's been such a selling point for them and their program in terms of recruiting students was that they have an actual operating wind turbine in their backyard and they can have kids train on that as well. So I've also been working with the different educational institutions on their technology and components and, can we get them the right components so they can use that in recruitment? And we found that to be successful as well.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? This is a great conversation. Thank you.
Sarah, I was curious to know how the community college managed to get the turbine on their site. This is something I've been talking to our institute as well. And maybe if you could let me know who I should reach out to in the college, I can maybe follow up.
Yeah, they have a new president. And it is a challenge. Like I know, for example, Clovis Community College, when they first reached out to us, they also wanted a turbine. And, then there was like Department of Defense regulations, and there was just no way that would be possible. And then we were able to say, okay, well, we can maybe get you in a cell and then have you partner with Mesa Lands. But yeah, the president of Mesa Lands is new, but really great guy, and he can kind of talk to you about how that came about. It's to your point, it's not easy. There's usually, whether there's height restrictions or, just the safety of, the manufacturers wanting their equipment. So I don't know the full backstory of how Mesa Lands was able to get one of those turbines. But yeah, certainly I can get you the contact at the college and they can talk about that.
Yeah,
And
so
all
as-
that sorry,
Oh, go ahead.
I'll just quick. All that you just discussed about the nacelle on the side or on the campus and the turbine tower, we have discussed that, and it would be great to know from someone who had a success story on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the
Trying to
biggest
convince
challenge with the
people to give us
nacelle,
a blade.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest challenge with the nacelle actually is the transportation cost. It's going to cost like $150,000 to transport it from wherever it is in the Midwest. So that's what we've been working with them on, like, can they work with our U.S. senator to get a federal grant, or like what does that look like? Because it's the cost at the moment that is prohibitive, but we're working on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I didn't mean to interrupt, but the other thing that I will note, in the past, we have heard from an NREL program called the Orphan Turbine Program. And so the politics of getting it on your campus aside, the ability to acquire equipment from the Orphan Turbine Program, they basically have taken turbines that are not moving or people don't want them anymore, and they have taken them down, and they would love to see them at universities. So they have been offering them to universities. So like free equipment, you got to get it up. And then we have a small 10 kilowatt turbine on our campus, nothing like a, but I'd be happy to talk to you another time about the politics just to get that 120-foot tower on our campus, and the costs associated with that. I don't know if others have experience. Penn State has a SkyStream, but that's even smaller. So, but it's something when you're trying to encourage students into the programs.
Understood. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. You are welcome to stick around and hear what everybody's up to in their respective states and programs. But if you need to jet, I completely understand. And we thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks. I'll probably jet, but yeah, nice to meet everyone. Please, Remy, if you want to send out my contact information afterwards, that'd be great so folks can reach out, and I'll follow up.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Sarah. Wonderful. So with the 15 minutes that we have left, I'd be excited to go and hear what everybody's been up to. I would love to start with Brent, and I don't know if you have anything that you are allowed to talk to us about, but it's nice to see you.
Hey everyone. At NREL we're plugging along here, and we've had lots of all hands meetings, and there's uncertainty in the air, but my projects involving CIP, competitiveness improvement project, and working to improve air elastic modeling tools and all that stuff I'm busy with is moving forward. So we're just plugging along here, and I've got to run. I don't have any updates regarding turbine monitoring campaign here for science teachers, but Ram's here. Maybe he's got some ideas.
Before you go, Brent, are you going to be at DWIA? Will I see you there?
Yeah, I'll be there. Unless something goes sideways, I'll be there. Yes.
Sounds good. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you then.
Yeah, thanks. That was a cool presentation.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Brent.
Bye. Yep.
Okay, well, with that, Ram, since you were called out, would you like to say anything about what's going on?
Yeah, actually, we have exciting news from Appalachian State. We recently installed two more Vistas V47 660 kilowatt turbine. Therefore, we proudly now say like we have a wind farm rather than like a wind turbine we used to say earlier. Now we have three on the fleet. They all connected to the distributed system, and two of them are 660 kilowatt Vistas turbine. 347 and the one is 100 kilowatt amperes. The two are still, we are waiting for a transformer to connect to the grid, but things are looking great. And now Appalachian State can probably say we have a wind farm on campus.
That is exciting, Ram. That is very exciting. And and on another note, I know the SOHAD was leading a group of students last year on our hybrid system design project, and they we're still here to support them. So I don't know if you see her frequently or want to mention it to them if they would like to pick that project up with some new students this year. We have some funding for them.
I'll let her know, and probably she will reach out to you right
Awesome.
after. But we are really excited with these new wind turbines, and
That's amazing.
it's really good to have some one
Yeah.
single turbine on campus and teach students from those turbines.
Yeah, it
Okay,
sounds like we need to make a field trip to come and visit.
Yeah, we do. We do very often.
Wonderful. Maybe this summer when we have a bunch of student interns, we can come down and check you guys out.
That would be awesome.
Awesome.
And
Becky.
Remy, I have
Oh,
to
sorry.
run for a class, therefore I may be able to take off, but thank you. That was very important.
Yeah, you bet.
Wonderful
Thanks for
stuff.
being here, Ram.
Hey, I don't have a ton to report. We did host three offshore or career-focused teacher workshops. We did one in New Jersey, one in Connecticut, and then yesterday out in California, focused on floating offshore wind. So that was really great. We got some high school teachers through that training, so that is excellent. I know last time we were here, I talked about a primary level career focused curriculum, and that is now on our website. I will drop the link in the chat just for anybody who is like working with little kids, may be able to use it or adapt it to your needs. And otherwise just lots of good busyness going on like everybody else. And Remy, I mentioned to you, but we can talk offline. I will be at DWEA, so anything I can do to help. It's like 10 minutes from my house. So I will admit that I might be the person who like sneaks for part of a day if the sessions aren't as applicable. So if there's times that I can be helpful to you, just let me know and I can be there.
Awesome. Yeah, I will definitely take you up on that. We're love to get the students, just learning about different parts of the industry. And I think you would be great to talk to them about how important the work you guys do is in growing our industry. So give them that perspective. So
Wonderful.
awesome. Well, I'll catch up with you offline then, but thank you for that. And I noticed that the youth awards are open. So that's awesome too. So we'll put that in our newsletter this week.
Yep. Youth Awards is open. I did share the link with some of our networks of students, college students that you sent for the webinars. And also our National Teacher Conference application is open. We're going to be in Louisville this year. So anybody who knows educators who are interested in attending that, they're welcome to apply. Sometimes we have funding to bring people, sometimes we don't, just depends on where they're from and all of that jazz. But we encourage them to apply because sometimes we can seek out funding if we didn't know we had somebody from an area. So
Awesome. Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
Yvonne, do you have any things to share on behalf of the Kidwind realm other than it's a busy time?
No, organizer meeting was yesterday, so Zella would have sent out the link to that recording and things that were promised on there. Other than that, I don't have any news.
Awesome. No news is good news, right? Wonderful. Well, so Tyler, how are things with you? You guys are probably busy there like always.
Yeah, things are busy. My wife and I had a little girl in October, so I've been not attending these meetings. But yeah, things are going really well with her so far. And as you said, if things pan out the way we expect to or hope to in May, and we can get down to Phoenix, I think my wife and little baby Francis will be joining us. So we'll have a guest judge on the panel, I think. So yeah, excited for y'all to meet her, and then on the work front, of course, which is the not as much priority in my life these days. We hosted a really great coaches workshop for our Clean Energy Olympics, which is like the Alaska Kidwin Challenge. And we had 24 teachers sign up, which is like 3 times more than we've ever had, which is really cool. We hosted a virtual and an in-person. I think 19 of the 24 did the virtual option, and then Colleen hosted a very small contingent of in-person coaches, but most of them are new, and they're from most are from very rural communities in Alaska. So they'll probably be participating in our virtual competition. But hopefully we'll get some new teams, some new schools out there, and bring some new faces down to Phoenix in May.
Wonderful.
And yeah, otherwise we're chipping along with lots of energy efficiency and renewables education in schools right now.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Tyler. It's so excited for you and your new little one. So, um, so yeah, Stephen, how are you doing?
Well, thank you. It's been a while since I've been on, actually.
Yeah, it's good to
I
see
haven't been
you.
on for certainly several months, but yeah, we're kind of humming along here as well. No big news on my front. My main activity, of course, is being the lead mentor for our collegiate wind competition team, and we had a good outing in the fall, and we were fortunate to be down selected actually to the into the final 12. So we're looking forward to coming out to Phoenix this year.
Yeah, and you remind me, you're at UMass Lowell, is that right?
Well, that's correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. We look forward to seeing your team there.
Yep. Great.
So Haas, how are you doing? And do you have anything you wanted to talk about other than, the awesome presentation from Pattern?
No, it was a good presentation. That was really nice and very interesting project going on there. Yeah, so I've not been to these meetings, I believe, but to just give you all an introduction, we have a renewable energy program, so we have full plate of activities going on. For our students, we have a renewable energy club, and we participate in the collegiate wind competition as well as the hydropower competition. This year, we were not fortunate to be down selected, but we have the invitation to be a learn along. So I'm hoping to get a few students to Phoenix, not the whole team, but a few select students who can maybe learn from the experience, and perhaps next year we can be down selected. So that's on the CWC side of things. However, on the other hand, and also it is part of the connections requirement too. We have a active outreach and engagement program. So we reach out to our local high schools and schools, and we have faculty as well as students go over there and talk about wind energy and hydropower as well. We also have some events that are hosted by Texas Tech as an institute, but we participate in those. And we have the students come in our conference room here, and they have these cup anemometers or kits and so on to play with, so they get a familiarity with this side of things. Also, we are hosting the Kidwind this year as well. We started doing that since last year, so we are hosting that in collaboration with Kidwind, obviously, and we've done the teacher training last fall, and we have about 15 teams signed up so far for the Kidwind. So they will be coming, I think it's around third week of March when they will be coming and competing, but those logistics are in the works on how to organize that. So that's where we are as a group.
Wonderful. And I believe I talked with you also about our, the project of, growing the workforce in Texas, right? Is that how you and I connected earlier this past year?
Yes, that if I remember, that is the reason why, and we are looking into opportunities to connect with folks. And if you look at, if you, I mean, one of the observations, and we can see from the presentation also, there is some sort of an urgency from the industry side. So they're looking at much shorter programs
Mhm.
and maybe training opportunities for their workforce. But I think having this discussion now perhaps eventually could lead into something where folks who are already there, they can take advantage of opportunities around them and so
Yeah.
on. So we can maybe those aspects as well.
That's fantastic. The other thing is that assuming that the funding from NREL and the programs that we were working on are continue to be supported, we'll be inviting you and the folks in the other states that we spoke with to give poster presentations at Clean Power. So if
Okay.
you're planning to bring your students to Clean Power to see the collegiate wing competition,
Yes.
we can support hopefully you to join them and to
Okay.
present a poster. So I'll keep you posted as those development. I haven't
Sure.
gotten the firm AOK from NREL that they
Yeah.
want to take that next step.
Yes.
Josh, anyway, thank you. Do you want to just introduce yourself super quick before you leave, just because I don't think everybody's met you?
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if others knew each other. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Fradoff. I'm at CU Boulder. I work in a 2-year environmental master's program, professional master's program. I run the renewable and sustainable energy specialization here, so I kind of oversee the curriculum and teach classes. Teaching a class on zero carbon buildings today. And I forget how I heard about this organization, but someone sent it to me, and I had spent last semester trying to build a little portable microgrid that I could take around campus with a couple Admiral colleagues, actually. Anyway, so we were awarded a grant, which is really great, to keep building that out, build another one, put some different loads on it, maybe connect them together, maybe add some bicycle charging or something like that too. I don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but anyway, it was really cool to hear that presentation today. My students would love to go work for Pattern. They work for groups like that, so it was a cool connection. Yeah, just happy to know more about the group. So thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
Yeah, you bet. I'd hate to keep you from class, but thank you for introducing yourself.
No worries. No worries. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Well, that seems to be everybody. I mean, here in Virginia, we're chugging along with our Kid Win Challenge. If you guys were on the organizer call, Anna told you the ridiculous number of teams that we have signed up, and it's like I don't even know how we're going to handle 178 teams over 6 challenges and then a state competition. We need 80 judges. So Becky, if you're not doing anything, you should come and join one of our competitions and be a judge. Because
Send me the dates.
or if anybody else at need wants to come be a judge, I'd be happy to share that. So, but yeah, and we did not participate in the CWC this year. We're kind of in a rebuilding year, and we're working on growing out a workforce center at JMU, and some regional hubs around the state. So, and so our faculty advisor just didn't have time to coach the students, and so the students didn't push hard back on that. So anyway, so this is our first year ever not being a CWC team. It's really kind of sad. But just know that there are amazing things still happening at our college level with the curriculum and some fun classes. In fact, I might invite an interesting class description for next month anyway about the energy transition. So but yeah, things are chugging along, and it's just great to see you guys. And I know we're over time, so I appreciate you being here. I'm happy to stick around if anybody has any questions or wants to chat. But otherwise, I will let you have your day. And I'll look forward to seeing you in March.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Sorry about that. I thought the meeting started at 1.
It is 1 Eastern time.
Ah.
Sorry about that.
Well, I apologize for that.
That's okay. Who am I talking to? I don't
So
recognize.
I'm Doug Hoy from Lincoln Land Community College. We just received a grant from REpowering.
Yes,
Uh,
wonderful to connect with you. Thanks for being here. I'm happy to chat just for a couple minutes while people are signing off. I mean, if you want to just catch up for a minute, it's nice to meet you officially.
yeah, again, sorry, I didn't necessarily have a meeting invite. It was just like a link through another email or something
Huh. I'll make sure you're
that
on
we
it next
got.
time. I do have a calendar, like a recurring calendar invite that I invite people to. So I'll make sure you're on that
Okay.
in the
Uh,
future. But yes, they're 1 o'clock Eastern time. So sorry for the confusion.
That's where
But
the meeting invite would have helped.
yeah, and also know that they are